Hello, mighty companion. This is Earl Purdy, and I'm here to do A Course in Miracles Workbook Lesson 332. A Course in Miracles Workbook Lesson 332, which is Fear binds the world, forgiveness sets it free. Fear binds the world, forgiveness sets it free. Fear binds the world, forgiveness sets it free. Do you know that the ego makes illusions? The fearful man makes illusions. Truth undoes the ego's evil dreams. By shining the ego's evil dreams away, the truth undoes the ego's evil dreams by shining the ego's evil dreams away. Truth never makes attack. Truth never makes attack. Truth merely is. Truth never makes attack. Truth merely is. And by the presence of truth is the mind recalled from fantasies. That means the mind awakens to the real. Do you know forgiveness bids this presence of truth enter in? That means forgiveness wants the truth to enter in and take its rightful place within your mind. Forgiveness lets the truth take its rightful place within your mind. Without forgiveness is the mind in chains. Without forgiveness is the mind in chains, believing in its own futility. Without forgiveness is the mind in chains. Yet with forgiveness, with correct perception does the light shine through the dream of darkness. Through forgiveness does the light shine through the dream of darkness, offering the dream of darkness hope, and giving the dream of darkness the means to realize the freedom that is its inheritance. With forgiveness does the light shine through the dream of darkness, offering it hope and giving it the means to realize the freedom that is its inheritance. We would not bind the world again today. We would not bind the world again today. Fear holds the world prisoner. Fear holds the world prisoner. And yet God's love, and yet your love, God, has given us the means to set the world free. Father, we would release the world now. For as we offer freedom, it is given us. As we offer freedom, it is given us. And we would not remain as prisoners. We would not remain as prisoners while you, God, are holding freedom out to us. We would not remain as prisoners while you are holding freedom out to us. So let's say now, fear binds the world. Forgiveness sets it free. Fear binds the world. Forgiveness sets it free. Forgiveness. Fear binds the world. Forgiveness sets it free. Fear binds the world. Forgiveness sets it free. Fear binds. Fear binds. Ooh, yes, fear. Fear binds the world. Forgiveness sets it free. Fear binds the world. Forgiveness sets it free. Fear binds the world. Forgiveness sets it free. Mighty companion, this is Earl Purdy. Please go to my website and listen to my classes on audio and video at www.earlpurdy.com. www.earlpurdy.com. Yes. Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Purdy, and we're going to do the theme 12 in the workbook, which is called, What is the Ego? What is the ego means what is fear? What is separation? What is separation thought? What is the ego? The ego is idolatry, the sign of limited and a separated self. The ego is the part of you that thinks it's born in a body, doomed to suffer and to end its life in death. The ego is the so-called will that sees the will of God as enemy and takes a form in which it is denied. Do you know the ego is the so-called proof that strength is weak and love is fearful, that life is really death, and what opposes God alone is true? Do you know the ego is insane? The part of the mind that thinks it's separate, the part of the mind that thinks it's separate from God is insane. In fear, the ego stands beyond the everywhere, apart from all, in separation from the infinite. Do you know that in the ego's insanity, the ego thinks it has become a victor over God himself? And in the ego's terrible autonomy, the ego sees the will of God. The ego sees the will of God has been destroyed. To the fearful man, the will of God that you be perfectly happy has been destroyed. Do you know that the ego dreams of punishment and trembles at the figures in its dreams, its enemies who seek to murder the ego before the ego can ensure the ego's safety by attacking them? Do you know the Son of God is egoless? Do you know that you are egoless? Do you know that your real self doesn't have any fear or sense of separation? What can the child of God know of madness? What can the child of God know of the death of God when the child of God abides in God? What can the child of God who knows he or she is a child of God? What can the child of God know of sorrow? What can the child of God know of suffering? When the child of God lives in eternal joy, how could the child of God know suffering? What can the child of God know of fear and punishment, of sin and guilt, of hatred and attack, when all there is surrounding the child of God is everlasting peace? When all there is surrounding the child of God is everlasting peace, forever conflict-free and undisturbed, in deepest silence and tranquility. Do you know to know reality, to know the truth, to know love is not to see the ego and not to see the ego's thoughts, is to know reality in love. To know reality is not to see the ego and the ego's thoughts, the ego's works, the ego's acts, the ego's laws, and the ego's beliefs. To know reality is not to know the ego's fearful dreams, the ego's hopes, the ego's plans for salvation, and the cost belief in the ego entails. Do you know that in suffering, the price for faith in the ego is so immense that crucifixion of you, the child of God, is offered daily at the ego's darkened, ignorant shrine, and blood must flow before the altar where the ego's sickly followers prepare to die. And yet, with one lily of forgiveness, with one lily of correct perception, change the darkness into light, the altar to illusions to the shrine of life itself, and peace will be restored forever to the holy minds that which God created as his son. Peace will be restored forever to the holy minds which God created as his son, his dwelling place, his joy, God's love, and completely God's, completely one with God. So what is the ego? What is a fearful thought? What is the ego?